So today I'm going to be sharing my birth story, my first baby. I did have a water birth at home, which that was a dream of mine. I felt safer at home than in the hospital, but you know, I was also open to the possibility that I might end up needing to go to the hospital if there was an emergency, but luckily there was not. Being a mother is just something that I've always wanted and I looked forward to. When I was open to having babies, I started looking into, started listening to people's birth stories, watching birth videos, and I found the Free Birth Society podcast and I started listening to those stories, and it really opened my mind to a new world of birthing possibilities. I realized that not all women go to hospital to have their babies. Not all birth is scary and traumatic like I had seen my whole life on TV, or even how I had heard some of the women in my lives speak about their birth experiences. So this blew my mind, and the more I heard these stories about peaceful, positive, just absolutely amazing births, I realized that, you know what, I want to give birth at home, because as I learned more about those type of stories, I started realizing that a lot of traumatic, let's just say stories that I didn't want to be my story, a lot of these seem to happen in hospital. So I was inspired and I realized that that's not the kind of story I want. I don't want a scary, traumatic story when I've seen loads of women have quite the opposite. So I wanted that. So fast forward to December 2023 when I fell pregnant. Didn't know until, found out we were traveling that December. Found out when I came back in January. Did a pregnancy test. Turns out I was pregnant. I was so excited, so shocked. So I had a good pregnancy. I was going for my appointments and all that. I had my 2 scans. I did not find out the gender. I was very set on not finding out the gender. I wanted a surprise. Then we got to the point later in my pregnancy when we let the midwife know that I want to have a home birth. She was not keen. She said about, as a first-time mom, she encourages us to have a birth at the midwife-led unit, and we were like, no, we really want to have a home birth. Before I carry on, I just want to talk about Bo, my partner. He was very supportive. I think throughout my pregnancy, I let him know what I wanted. I was very set on a home birth. I think at first he wasn't keen, but the more I learned and shared what I was learning with him, the more he started being open to the idea. And by the end of my pregnancy came, he wanted the same thing for me. We were also reading, We were also reading this book together, Natural Childbirth, the Bradley Way. And it's basically about like the Bradley method of giving birth and tips and tricks how to have I don't want to say easy birth, but a natural birth without problems. There's a lot I think we did learn from the book, especially for Bo, and how he could be a supportive partner when it comes down to it, because when you are in labor and giving birth, having someone in your corner who knows exactly what you want is imperative. You know, in my experience, it's nice to have a little support who's like, when you say, actually I don't want that, and they're like, no, but you've got someone who's like, actually no. So I had a due date for the 5th of September. A due date is just a due date. It's not really a definite. It's not, some people say it means nothing at all, which I think that's right, but I suppose, like, in my situation, the due date helped me to, you know, get ready. Like, let's get the ball rolling, let's wash these baby clothes, let's get them folded, let's start getting stuff for the baby. In that sense, the due date is helpful, I suppose. So a few days before my due date, I'm getting everything ready. I'm making my bedside nappy caddy, like all these things. I got one of those little caddies. I put like the first few little clothes for the baby as well, because, you know, the midwives are like, even though you're having a home birth, you should pack a hospital bag. So even though I didn't do that, I thought I'll put these things together so that if we need a hospital bag, Bo knows where these things are, to just throw them in a bag with some stuff for myself. You know, he could figure it out, pajamas and whatever else I need. And we were able to, I thought we were going to have to buy a birth pool, but luckily the what would you call it, the like midwife people that I was with for this area had birth pools that they like give out to people, they borrow you. So a few weeks before, well, we had got this birth pool a few weeks before, we had, Bo had blown it up, tested it, didn't fill it up. He trusted that on the day he would fill it up in time and all that. And also beforehand, the midwife had to come over to our house to do an inspection, or and I was really nervous for this because, like I said, we're renovating the house. Like, we don't have a floor. It's all just kind of like chaos. But we knew we were going to have the birth downstairs. Oh, what were we talking about? We knew we wanted the birth pool downstairs, and when we were doing our renovations, that was like our goal. Our deadline was to get like the new tiles and the new kitchen and everything painted downstairs for the birth. And when the midwife came to do the inspection, it was fine. There was no need to be nervous. I don't know why I felt like she was going to come and judge our house, but it was more about like for her to see if there's like good access for, I don't know, if an ambulance needs to come, and like she had to fill out this form to share with all the other midwives, because she was not necessarily going to be the one attending my birth. Basically felt like we were getting ready, and then the due date came, no sign. The 6th, the 7th, and then on the 8th of September, this was a Sunday, obviously Bo's working Monday to Friday, and that Sunday I remember I was like, you know, this baby could come any day. Maybe I knew subconsciously, but I decided to like set up a birthing altar. This is what it looked like. I'll show you a picture. And it was just like on the windowsill in the living room. On that Sunday, Bo had a lie-in. I went downstairs. I'm like doing my birth ball exercises all the time. When I was doing my birth ball exercises, I realized I had lost some of my mucus plug. And I didn't want to get too excited because I thought, oh, you know, it could be like another few days. But deep down I was like, oh my gosh, this could be a sign. But then I thought, I don't want to be waiting around and like, you know, every hour like, oh, could it be, what's this little twinge, does this mean something? And I had been getting Braxton Hicks. I had been getting Braxton Hicks for a few weeks now, which I actually didn't even know that's what I was getting when I first started getting it, because they're not painful at all. So I came downstairs, we were just chilling, and then I was like, should we go to IKEA? and we live in Wales. There's only one IKEA. There's only one IKEA, isn't there, babe? In Cardiff. And Cardiff is like an hour and 10 minutes away. So we were like, I was like, let's go to IKEA. Because it was like a rainy day and I was like, we can walk around and IKEA's fun, you know? Isn't it? Isn't it? We go to IKEA. Worst decision ever. Because it was so busy that day. I guess everybody had the same idea. Oh, it's a rainy Sunday, let's go to IKEA. It was packed with people and it is like 4 floors or whatever. We like do the first floor, we do the second floor. By the time we're doing the 3rd floor, I'm like starting to get over it, and it's almost weird. It's like I was going through I went in this like weird headspace. I don't know how to describe it, like I was high or, but it suddenly just got like kind of weird, and I thought, oh my god, is this like me going into labor? And I didn't feel, I was like tired, I wanted to sit down, I wanted to rest, and we got to the last section, which is the plants, our favorite section, and I didn't even want to look at the plants. I'm just like, to Bo, let's get through it, because if you know IKEA, it's like a maze. You can't just leave, you have to like go through and get to the finish. So I'm like, let's just get through past all these people. We've got the things we wanted to get a few bits, we've got our things, forget about the plants, let's get out of here. We come back home. So I'm like exhausted after IKEA. I can't be bothered to start cooking. But Bo, bless him, makes us cottage pie. Come that evening, after being in bed for like an hour or something, I think my water broke and then the contraction started. That was it. My water broke and then contraction started. Oh my god, this is it. It is go time! And it's crazy because when you realize you're in labor, it's so exciting at first, and then it's like, oh my god, there's like a bit of fear, but I think I'm mostly excited. I was mostly excited. I had downloaded, you know, that contraction timer app. And after having contractions, I think for an hour, I was like, oh my god, we need to time the contractions. But I was like, it's way too soon. And I'm like, I just need to know how far apart they are. Do the contraction app, I can't remember how far apart they are. But we had gone to like a birth class with the midwives. They offer 2, like one's about labor and one's about breastfeeding. And in the labor one, what I remember the midwife telling us was, she's telling us, if your contractions start during the day, try and keep busy. But if you go into labor at night, she's like, just try and sleep. So I remembered that and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try and sleep. So, and because I am a person who's suffered from pretty bad period pain for majority of my adult life, I suppose, that feeling, it was like familiar. I'm like, oh, okay, like I know what a sleepless night with bad period pain is like. It sucks. So I try and sleep. It's like blurry, I guess, like because I was like in and out of sleep. But Bo says like he remember, because when towards the end of my pregnancy I was snoring, and he says like he knew I would be having contractions because I'd be snoring, then suddenly I'd stop snoring, I'd be like moaning, having a contraction I guess, and then start snoring again. And in this book we had read about, you know, like giving a back massage to help, you know, this first half of labor. So Bo is like, you know, they're rubbing my back whilst I'm sleeping, whatever. I think he got some sleep as well. So 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like to Bo, oh my god, I feel sick. I'm gonna be sick. I need a bucket or something. And Bo goes to get a bowl or a bucket, I can't remember. And he gives it to me, and then I'm just, all the cottage pie from last night comes out. I miss half the bowl. It goes on the wall, on the floor. I'm like, right here, this is where I sleep. And it like goes all there. And Bo was such a dear. He cleaned it up for me whilst I tried to go back to sleep. And then come 6 in the morning, I'm like at the point where I can't really sleep anymore. Like, the contractions are too painful. I can't really sleep now. And I'm like, let's phone the midwife. I want the midwife. Yeah, let's phone the midwife. And Bo's like, you know, it's 6 in the morning. Don't know if they're gonna answer. I think he tried to phone her, but she didn't answer. They had advised us, if you're having a home birth, no like pain management, probably get a TENS machine because that could help. So we had got one. So I'm like, let's try this TENS machine out. Put the pads, sticky pads on my back, electrical impulses. Like every time I have a contraction, I press it on for the thing to come on. And when I think back, I'm not sure if the TENS machine helped. Maybe it did, but I think I was at that point where I'm like, you know, I'll just do anything. If something's gonna help with the pain, let's do it. So I go downstairs. I'm like, please, let's do the birth pool. Can you set up the birth pool? And Bo was like, you know, it's still early. We don't need to do that. And I'm like, let's do the contraction timer app. We're doing that or whatever, and I'm just like, you know, I'm going into this different world. This world, this of giving birth, I don't know if it's the hormones or whatever, but like you go into this like really weird headspace, almost like you are on drugs. I don't know how to explain it, but like you lose track of time. It just goes all weird. So I'm like in this world. Bo's keeping an app on the an eye on the contraction timer app. On the contraction timer app, I didn't see it, but he says he saw that it said go to hospital. So at this point, Bo decides, okay, let's set up the birth pool, because I'm like begging for it, because in the back of my mind I'm like, I think I want the warm water. I think it's going to help with the pain management. So and they say don't go into the birthing pool too early because it can slow down labor. But me and Bo are like, we have no idea how far along I am at this point. So he's setting up the pool. It takes, as you can imagine, a little while to fill up. I don't know how many liters of water it is. But he's doing that. Well, like trying to phone the midwife, and then we realize, okay, we have to probably phone her at 9 o'clock because that's when they start their shift or whatever. And then like 9 o'clock immediately, and I did not want to phone the hospital because I just did not want to start anyone saying come into hospital. So I was like, we're not even gonna entertain the hospital. So I'm like, at 9 o'clock we phone those midwives. So 9 o'clock, Bo phones her, hi, Claire's in labour, whatever, and she asked for how long, since last night, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll come over by myself, because they have to come in pairs, they work in pairs for home births, and she's like, I'll come by myself, we'll see how far along things are, and then we will take it from there. So she comes along, she says, you know, we don't really know how far things are, we don't know what's happening. The best way to know is to do a cervical check. And honestly, I was not keen on this, I must admit. I was not keen on having a cervical check, but I just felt like, you know, it's the only way she's right to know how far things are along. I've been labouring all night, we really have no idea. The pool is still, I hadn't got into the pool at that point, I don't think. The pool, I think it was just filling up. And I'm like, oh, you know, I want to get in the pool. And she's like, you know, let's do the cervical check. We do the cervical check, and my suspicions and suspected fears about it come true. It's extremely uncomfortable. I might say it was a little bit painful as well, but the silver lining and upside to the cervical check, I have an idea how far along I am. And she says I'm about 6 or 7 centimeters dilated. She wasn't 100% sure because I was not relaxed during it, so she had to try and be quick about it. And she's like, okay, so you are quite far along, so she's gonna phone her partner to come over and they're gonna get this thing going. So she phones the other midwife to come over. I don't know how long that took her, but I'm like begging to go to the pool. So I go into the birth pool and oh my god, it was like, what a relief. What a relief, wasn't it? What a relief. I highly recommend giving birth in water, or at least using it to manage contractions. There's a reason they call it nature's epidural. I know some people, I've heard stories where some people absolutely hated getting in warm water because they feel too hot during their birth. But for me, it was magic, and I do recommend at least giving it a try, because you don't want to miss out. If it's going to bring you the pleasure it brought me, you don't want to miss out on that. So I'm in the pool, I'm having a little swim around, as the midwife said. Now it's, you know, I guess it's a waiting game. It's hours, I'm sure. In my mind, I'm like, it's hours away. I just have to get through this. You know, I have a little breakdown at one point about Tabo about how hard this is, and he's like, you know, you can do it and all this stuff. And I just, because I didn't sleep well that night, I'm starting to get like super tired. Like I can feel myself when I'm in the birth pool not having a contraction, I'm like doing that. I'm gonna fall asleep, I can feel, but obviously I can't, because with each contraction comes you like awake. But there was a point in the day, I don't know what time, I'm gonna guess it's probably maybe like 2-3 o'clock, and she's like, you know, you look extremely tired. I haven't eaten anything, as you can imagine. Did not want to eat anything. I think I had a few pieces of pineapple, and she's like, your energy's really low, and I had to like wee, and she had to test my wee, and she's like, oh, I think your ketones are really high. In this situation, you know, when someone's in hospital, we give them, I don't know, something, an energy booster, I guess. And she's like, you know, if whatever your ketones are at whatever point, are you guys open to going to hospital? I'm like, no. Bo was like, absolutely not, unless it's like an emergency. But if it's, you know, low energy, we can get the energy high here. Bo was like, have orange juice. And she's like, you know, maybe come out of the birthing pool for a bit, move around, have a bit of energy. So yeah, I come out the pool, I do like a bit of cat and cows. I think I walk up and down the steps. I drink some orange juice. Bo makes me some toast with jam on it. He brought it over to me. I'm out of the pool, I'm like on the birthing ball. I looked at the jam and on the toast, the jam's like that thick. I'm like, that's a lot of jam. Everyone around me like, you need it, you need it. I'm like, okay. I take one bite of it. Where's the bucket? I throw everything up. So it's like, okay, let's not force that. Let's leave it alone. I'm like, I just want to get back into the birthing pool at this point. Like, my vibe is, I was enjoying being in the pool. This is not the vibe. Yeah. And I guess that little bit of orange juice that I had helped, because she's like, you know, you seem a little bit perkier, what. So I go back in the pool. But the crazy thing is, every time I come out of the birth pool, I am like, so cold. And she's like, you know, I'm concerned about this shaking. I think she called it thyrigos. Like, I think she thought it could mean something else. But I was telling her it's because I'm cold. Like the pool is nice and warm. Every time I come out, it's cold. And so I put on my dressing gown, but every time I have a contraction, I'm like too hot, I peel the dressing gown off. So that's why being in the pool was just nice for me. And when I remember when I came out of the pool at one point and I had a contraction, I like dropped to my knees. It felt so much more painful outside than in the pool, because I guess in the pool I'm like being held by the water. I feel lighter. You know that thing when you're in a swimming pool, when you carry someone else, they're really light. I don't know why, but I maybe that's what made the contractions not feel as like hard and heavy as they felt when I was out of the pool. And I get to the point I'm like, you know, I'm making these noises, and the midwife comes to me and she's like, you know, do you want to try the gas and air? The gas and air really helped me with my labor. It was a lifesaver and all this stuff. And I'm just there like, okay, you know, I'll give it a try. I've done my research. That's the one form of pain management I'm open to. Let's give it a go. So I do the gas and air for a few. And the things with the gas and air, like, it like comes in your system and leaves pretty quick. So you just do it with your contractions. When you feel your contractions starting to build, you breathe it in, and hopefully it helps with the peak, and then you stop as your contraction fades. And that's kind of how you use the gas and air. It's like with contractions. So I do this for a little bit, and I get to a point where I'm like, I don't know if this gas and air is helping. And you know, it kind of makes you feel high, and I'm like, I don't really want to be feeling high during, this is like a really special time. So I go for a few contractions without it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not sure. At this point, I'm not sure. And then, you know, hours are passing by. The pool temperature keeps like dropping, and Bo adds more hot water to it. Bo's got music playing, vibes. We've got like the blinds closed on one side. We've got like where we have like glass doors, we didn't have blinds on there yet, so Bo's like put like bedding or something to cover it. So it's like nice and dark in the house. I have no idea what the time is. I have no idea what the weather is like outside. And then it comes to the point where the midwives, they shifted from 9 till 5. So she's like, we're going to be leaving soon. 2 new midwives are coming over to take over. And before this, and she was like, you know, we should do another cervical check to see how far things are, to know if you're actually progressing. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That really hurt. And she's like, okay, how about the other midwife do it? And the other midwife, she was a younger girl. She had a lot more empathy than the older midwife. And I was like, oh, okay, give it a try. And the other midwife did it, and I was like at 8 centimeters dilated or whatever. I don't know what time this was. That gave me hope, because I'm like, okay, things are progressing, just slow. So after that, the changeover happens. The new midwives come, and I remember like I had been in my zone in the pool. Like I told you, you go to this world if you're allowed to. Because you know, when people are distracting you, you don't actually go to that world, but when you're like in your zone and time passes, you do go to that world. So I'm in my world, birthing world, feeling high on whatever the natural birth stuff is, and suddenly there's like commotion in the house because the midwives are doing their changeover and they bring all this equipment. And I remember, because I was facing, they were like in the kitchen, on the kitchen table, the pool's in the living room. I had been like facing everybody and just doing my thing on my knees, whatever. And then now there's all the commotion and people are talking and all this stuff. And I remember I felt like an animal and I wanted to go to a dark corner and hide. So I turned around in the pool. I went to like the opposite side of the pool, like facing the wall and the window in the living room, away from it all, blocking out the noise, trying to stay in my world, let them do whatever it is that they're doing. And the new set of midwives comes, the old midwives leave, but when the new set of midwives come, they're like, gotta do a cervical check to see how far things are. But I will say, this is where the gas and air helped me with the cervical checks. I would just suck that in until I was so high when they were doing the cervical check. And I mean, it helped with that, I will say. I think it helped with that. and she tells me, you know, I think I'm like at 9 centimeters. She's like, you know, we're nearly there, we're nearly there, we are nearly there. 1 more centimeter to go, and then, you know, you are in the pushing stage. And the other midwife had been telling me, you know, you'll feel when it's time to push. She's like, when the baby's head is on the pelvis, it's like a button. You feel like things change. You feel the urge to push. You feel the urge to push. Because I kept wondering, like, when am I going to push this baby out? We had discussed. She was like, you know, what are we doing when baby's born? Am I coming to get baby? Is mom getting baby and bringing baby to chest? I was like, I'm doing it. Hands off, please. Who's cutting the cord? Dad's doing it. Like all these things. So, which was great. That was really great. Those were my wishes. Then at some point, you know, I felt things change. It's such a strange feeling something moving in your bones. Like I could feel it was like in my pelvis. Like, I don't know how to describe it. And then the midwife come and check, and they realize, oh, I'm pushing. I remember her at one point saying, oh, you know, she's so quiet. I guess that maybe I had been in the pushing stage without them knowing I had been, because I wasn't like screaming or whatever. When I was having contractions, Bo had been rubbing my back. Every time I have a contraction, he's there. And then at one point, I don't really remember this, but Bo says, like, when he tried to rub me, I was like pushing his hand away. I didn't even want to be touched. Like, I think my back pelvis, like, I was in pain then. And at one point I remember she's looking at the mirror and she's like, there's your baby's head, Claire. You've got that baby around the corner. She's like, feel your baby's head. And I'll never forget this feeling when I felt his little hair in the water. What a crazy feeling. And I remember that feeling. I don't know how else to describe it, but feeling his head, it just brought me from the clouds into my body. And it was time to push this little boy out. And she was like, you know, push with the contractions. And she's like, you know, push. And I remember from all the research I had done that I don't want to just push with all my might, like tear badly. I wanted to do like small pushes, just to like let him ease out. And so pushed his head out. I don't really remember, like, after that, pushing his body out. I feel like at this point I started going in a state of shock, and I pushed him out into the water, and I was in a state of shock. I didn't do like what I'd seen older women go and grab their baby and bring their baby to their chest. I was like in shock. I needed a minute, and I knew he would be fine in there because he's been living in water this whole time. I just hear the midwife voice saying, pick your baby up, Claire, pick your, what's something like, you lift your baby up. And so I go in the water, I lift him up, bring him to my chest, and I'm still in shock. I can't believe this has happened. I cannot believe. I just can't believe it. And then, you know, however much time passes, seconds, minutes, I honestly don't know. And then she says, are you gonna check if it's a boy or a girl or something? Because none of us knew. And hey, in my pregnancy, I'm thinking it's a girl. I do that. It's a boy! Slapped with more shock because I thought it was a girl this whole time. I couldn't believe it was a boy. Like, I'm not even registering. And I look at him, I'm like, my precious. Best feeling ever. And Bo's like hugging me and coming to look at him, and Bo's like, I told you it was a boy. And it was just honestly the best experience ever. I don't know if he screamed immediately, but he did like make some noises at one point, and then I think I tried to like put him on my nipple, but he wasn't really interested at that point, and obviously there was no rush. But I'm like sitting in the pool, and however much time passes in the pool, and the pool goes from like clear to like red. And at this point I realized, oh my god, like it hurts. So in my mind I'm like, oh, I probably tore. And then I say to her, you know, it really hurts, and she's like, yeah, you know, we'll check you when you come out of the pool. So we come out of the pool, got my little boy, he's obviously attached to me. I haven't birthed the placenta. We didn't want to cut the cord early on when it's like blue and there's still blood and all these important nutrients going to him. So, but I'd been in the pool for a while, out for a little bit, and then we did the cutting of the cord when Bo, your daddy cut the cord, didn't he? They weighed him first as well, 8 pound one, and she was like, where were you hiding him? Inside, because I guess I had quite a small belly, and I think we all just thought we were going to have a little tiny baby. And I think like 40-minute passes or something, and she's like, you know, it's been like 40 minutes because I think they have a protocol, like you have to birth the placenta within an hour. If it's not within an hour, they give you some injection to help you birth it. So she's like, should we try and push this placenta out? So I'm like, okay. I can't remember if I held the baby, if Bo held the baby, someone held the baby. And I can't push. After pushing for how, this is, oh yeah, he's born at 7 p.m. So the new midwives were there for like 2 hours. He's born at 7 p.m. So it's been like almost 24 hours of being in labor, and I can't push. I'm like kneeling on the floor. I can't do it. And she's like, you know, we can try and walk up the stairs. Sometimes moving helps get things going. Or if you sit on the toilet, like being in that position can also help. So we walk up the stairs. She puts the puppy pad over the toilet. I sit on the toilet and it just comes out. I didn't really have to push. Comes out. And they check the placenta because they want to make sure there's like no bits of it left inside you. Birth the placenta. She's like, you know, what are you doing with it? We want to keep it. She's like, oh, okay. We want to bury it in the garden and plant a tree under it, make it nice and special. At this point, Bo is downstairs doing skin to skin with his boy, and we're upstairs, and all we can hear is Koji screaming his little head off. His name was not Koji then, did not have a name. The baby screaming his head off. And then we go downstairs, and then I take him, and you know, I'm like, okay, we'll try and breastfeed you because are you hungry? Is that why you're screaming so much? Then we go, put him on the booby. He latches instantly, and my boy must have been starving. He had had a long day just like me. His poor face was all swollen. Apparently that's common, you know, being pushed through the birth canal. His eyes were swollen, and these little like spots, red spots on his head. Apparently it's like from burst blood vessels from being pushed through. But he had like red like blood in his eyes from the same thing. Like, apparently blood vessels burst, but it's all normal. And he's breastfeeding, feeding. I'm just like there, like so tired, like it's all just, can't believe it's happened, can't believe there's like a baby on my lap. The midwives are like packing up their stuff, getting ready to go, filling out the forms and all that stuff, and me and Bo on the sofa. Keep in mind I've barely eaten. I'm thinking I'm gonna be starving. Wasn't even starving. I think Bo gave me, Daddy gave me a few little sausages, and I think I had like 2, and that was it. And then, you know, like 9 p.m. midwives leave. Me and Bo on the sofa in shock. Red pool in front of us in the living room. Oh yeah, and before they left they checked. I did have a tear, but it was only 1st degree, so I didn't need stitches, thankfully. And then the midwives leave, and I'll never forget that feeling where it's like suddenly it's quiet, the calm after the storm. And it was just so shocked. There's like a baby on my lap. The midwives have left, and it's no longer just me and Bo. There's like a baby now. But yeah, phoned everybody, let them know it was a boy. And this is him, little Koji Zen. And life is just amazing with a baby. The hardest thing has probably been the lack of sleep. That is a big adjustment, I think, especially for your first baby. I've heard it gets better with the next babies. And I'm just trying to enjoy it all because of how fast it's changing, and even on the hard days. So yes, that is my birth story. I'm so sorry it's taken this long. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you can inspire others. We honestly didn't take that much. We didn't record anything, and we only took a few Bo only took a few pictures right at the end, and the midwife took some pictures for us, thankfully, after he was born. But that is one thing we said we will change at the next birth. But this birth was amazing. For my first experience, it has not put me off birth. It's actually made me want to have more babies. And I think hopefully my next births after will be just as amazing or even better. So yes, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments. I will get back to you. And best of luck to those of you who are about to go through this. Thank you so much, guys.